Before watching the video, can you please save a little bit time to like and subscribe to SkypluS have mover to increase?
On February 8, 1989, Independent Air Flight 1851, a Boeing 707 on an American charter flight from Bergamo, Italy, to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, struck Pico Alto while on approach to Santa Maria Airport in the Azores for a scheduled stopover. The aircraft was a 21-year-old Boeing 707 serial No. 19572 Factory No. 687 that had been built in 1968 and made its first flight on March 22 the same year. It had been previously operated by Trans World Airlines (TWA) and was one of two 707s in the airline's fleet. The flight crew consisted of Captain Douglas Leon Doherty, 41-year-old, had 7,766 flight hours, including 766 hours on the Boeing 707. He also had 2,259 hours on the Boeing 727. First Officer Samuel A. Sammy A. Adcock, 36-year-old, had a total of 3,764 flight hours, and only 64 of them on the Boeing 707. Flight engineer Jorge Gonzalez, 34-year-old, had a total of 6,756 flying hours, including 1,056 hours on the Boeing 707. He also had 2,888 hours on the Boeing 727. One of the flight attendants on board, Yvette Murray, 26-year-old, was engaged to Captain Doherty, planning to get married in May. On February 7, after a flight of 10 hours and 40 minutes, the crew arrived in Genoa, Italy, having to divert from Milan Malpensa Airport due to poor weather. The crew arrived in Bergamo 3 hours later, which was located near the planned departure airport. The crew spent the next 46 hours in the hotel, their activities being unknown. However, in the early morning of February 8, a witness stated that everyone left the hotel in a good mood. Departure was scheduled for 8 o'clock Greenwich Mean Time, but because of inclement fog, the aircraft was delayed in Genoa and was able to land at Orio al Sirio's airport in Bergamo only at 7:20. According to the flight plan, the duration of the first part of the flight was to be 4 hours and 10 minutes, landing on runway 33. It is also worth noting that in terms of flight, the airport coordinates were given as 36756 north and 025096 west, with the runway elevation being 0 feet. But the coordinates indicated did not correspond to either the charts nor any of the aircraft's navigation equipment, and the actual level of the airfield is 305 feet. At 10:04, Flight 1851 departed Bergamo Airport. At 13 hours 56 minutes and 59 seconds the co-pilot told the controller, "We're cleared to 2,000 feet and but paused mid-sentence at 13 hours 57 minutes and 2 seconds. At that same time Doherty said, "Make it 3,000. Then 13 hours 57 minutes and 7 seconds Adcock continued his radio transmission, 1027. This was the last transmission from Flight 1851, but the controller did not hear the first part, as he continued to say that the flight would be landing on runway 19, and therefore did not know that the plane continued to descend to 2,000 feet. As this was below the minimum safe altitude of 3,000 feet. At 14 hours 8 minutes and 12 seconds, at an actual altitude of 1,795 feet, 547 meters, above sea level, the aircraft crashed into a wall by a road, skidded through trees with trunks about 30 to 40 centimeters in diameter, and exploded. The impact occurred on the east side of the mountain. The majority of debris was on this side of the mountain.
Caution, terrain. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
All 144 people, include 137 passengers and 7 crew members on board, were killed. The aircraft was destroyed, resulting in the deadliest plane crash in Portugal's history and the 4th deadliest involving a Boeing 707. All of the passengers on board were Italian and all of the crew were Americans. The crash is also known as the disaster of the Azores. After having been cleared to the ILS approach, the crew failed to accomplish the approach briefing, missing an opportunity to notice the 3,000-foot minimum safe altitude and the presence of Pico Alto. Leveling off, Arliner experienced heavy turbulence near Santo Escirado and subsequently impacted the ridge of Pico Alto in a level attitude at an altitude of 1,795 feet, 547 meters. There was no evidence of any in-flight emergency and the altimeter was found correctly set to 1027 MB. The accident was due to non-observance by the crew of established operating procedures, which led to the deliberate descent of the aircraft to 2,000 feet, 610 meters, when the published minimum sector altitude was 3,000 feet, 910 meters. It also found that the controller had put the aircraft 240 feet, 73 meters, below that indicated on board the aircraft, exacerbating the original error by the first officer. In 1992, a group of next of kin claimed Independent Air and the lessor of the aircraft, International Air Leases, were responsible for the loss of their relatives and sought compensation. In the court cases that followed, Independent Air was judged to have acted negligently based. The case was settled for $34 million.
Thank you for watching the video. If you have an idea of flight, please comment below to everyone discuss.